Hello and welcome to our next edition of the ACHEMA Highlight Webcast. As usual, in the run-up to ACHEMA 2024, we want to give you some insight on what to expect at the event, in the halls, in the Congress, and point out some of the trends that shape and change the process industries. And one of those trends that has been around for quite some time already certainly is digitalization. Digitalization is not new, but it's still hot. And it can take a lot of shapes in the process industry, from the smart lab scale to modeling and simulation to automation and control. But probably the most exciting perspective is that of the employment of artificial intelligence and autonomous systems in the chemical industry. And I'm very glad to have today a guest here who can help us sort science from fiction. My guest today is Dr. Mehmet Mercangöz from the Imperial College in London, where he is the ABB reader in autonomous industrial systems. He has an industrial background, has worked in various technical and leadership roles at Weyerhaeuser Company in the US and at ABB, most recently as the senior principal scientist coordinating artificial intelligence activities across ABB. So welcome, Dr. Mercangöz.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being with us. Now, as I said, sometimes it sounds a bit like science fiction. A factory without people running 24/7, robots moving around modules, and somewhere a lonesome engineer who controls the whole thing, the whole setup from his home office. Is that what we can expect for the future of the process industry?
So I know at least one energy company which has this vision, with a further addition that the lonely engineer that you described should be working only during office hours. So clearly there's an appetite for such a future. And for some relatively simple processes like air separation plants, this vision is more or less achieved. So we can, in that case, say that this is going in the right direction. But for more complex processes, we are not there yet. And there are many open problems of how to get there. There are also some fundamental challenges. For example, that lonely engineer, the more automation we have, the more disconnected that engineer actually becomes from the process and from opportunities to learn on the job. And at the same time, the responsibility of this person is growing as the only person to react to anomalies, upsets that the plant might experience. So this is something we are referring to as the automation paradox. And this is something to think about when we are looking into increasing automation levels in an incremental way.
So the chemical industry usually is rather a slower adopter, often reluctant to change processes due to, well, efficiency considerations, but also safety often. And as you said, we have very complex processes. So how autonomous can a chemical plant actually become?
It is indeed the case that for the chemical industry, safety and operability are critical. Autonomous systems and safety is a contentious discussion point. For self-driving cars, this is perhaps the autonomous system that everyone can relate to. A lot of data has been collected from extensive trials, and they tend to indicate that they are safer than human drivers with fewer accidents. In the process industries, operator or human errors are also one of the biggest causes for plant shutdowns and accidents. So now, of course, we have to be very careful in drawing parallels, but we have to also think that the safety instrumented functions that we have are responsible for automated safe shutdown of our plants in any case. So I think safety is one aspect that we have to think about, but there are numerous others that could be actually obstacles in reaching towards these very highly autonomous plants. And in my opinion, one aspect that will become important is that if we really want to go for higher levels of autonomy, we probably have to rethink how we design these systems to make them simpler to operate. And we might be also prepared to see more shutdowns to be on the safe side. So given the shortages we see for skilled labor, increasing autonomy levels could become a necessity, though, as a license to operate. So we really need to research these problems to see how we can achieve these higher levels of autonomy.
Now, you already mentioned the lack of workforce we are facing, and maybe some of our viewers are thinking about becoming a chemical engineer, a process engineer, who will then be the person who, well, has it all in hands. What can a student expect from a future job in the process industry with all these changes coming about? And what qualifications do they need for that?
Thank you. Very, very good question. As an academic at a chemical engineering department, we have the task to educate the engineering workforce for the future of the process industry, and we are regularly having such discussions with our students. The world is changing very fast and sometimes in an unpredictable manner. So on one hand, we are indeed having this lack of qualified workforce. So you could say just simply studying engineering or having a technical profession is a good start for the future, that you can expect good employment opportunities. But at the same time, we are seeing very, very big disruptions in how automation and developments in artificial intelligence is impacting the workforce. We used to think that jobs requiring manual work would be replaced by automation, and jobs like medical doctors or lawyers were safe. But actually, with the recent developments in AI, it appears that AI is much better at diagnosing diseases or writing contracts than fixing a broken pipe. So this requires interacting with the physical world, sensors, actuators, coordinating them, and a certain finesse, which is not easy to achieve in non-standardized systems using a robot. So what I'm telling my students is to always be on a learning path and keep working with the technologies that are being developed, digital technologies, and be ready to have these fundamentals to adapt and prepare themselves that way. Because certainly we will be seeing changes and they should be ready to upskill themselves or be prepared to adapt how these changes will impact the way working will be happening in the chemical industry in the future.
So that's very exciting, all those perspectives and the changes coming about, which will have tremendous impact on how we live, how we produce, how we work, what kind of resources we use. And I'm really looking forward to discussing this in more depth at ACHEMA during the highlight session. Thank you for being with us today and giving us some insight already, and well, raising our appetite to learn more at the highlight session. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
And if you want to hear more about this as well, then make sure to join the ACHEMA Highlight Session on digitalization on the 12th of June at ACHEMA at 1 p.m. And of course, there's a lot more to be seen and experienced in the Congress, on the digital innovation stage, in the exhibition. You can talk to people, you can discuss all the questions we already raised right now. So make sure to get your program, to get your ticket for ACHEMA, and see you at ACHEMA 2024.